Back in 1964, I was about 5 years old. My first airplane ride was on a 1929 Ford Trimotor that American Airlines had restored, and they were flying it around with their latest three-engine passenger jet, the 727, saying, this is our first three-engine passenger plane, here's our latest one. And so they were giving rides. My dad was a commercial photographer who, one of his customers was American Airlines, and so we went out to the airport to photograph this event that we're having at Will Rogers Airport in Oklahoma City. And my brother and I, my mom, my dad, we all got to fly in this Ford Trimotor. And it was my first flight in an airplane ever. And I still have distinct memories of that. Even that was 60 years ago, I still have memories of it. Well, a couple weekends ago, the Experimental Aircraft Association had another 1929 Ford Trimotor in Ada, Oklahoma. It's about an hour and a half drive away. And I was able to buy some tickets, and I took my wife and my two sons and one of my granddaughters, and we went out there and we got to fly in this Ford Trimotor. And so in preparation for that, I want to take cameras, obviously, but I didn't want to take a whole bunch of stuff. I didn't want a big camera bag with a bunch of stuff in it and it weighed a lot and was bulky, and of course I shoot Micro Four Thirds, so the bulky thing kind of doesn't happen anyway. But it really illustrated to me the value in the Micro Four Thirds system, Olympus or Panasonic, in my case Olympus, but the value in the size and the compactness and the lightweight of that. So I'm going to show you what I packed, and you've seen this camera bag before. If I get it back towards me, if I get closer, it gets bigger. But if I set it back here, you can see it's not very big, not very deep. It's and I've packed it kind of like what I had that day. And so in this little bag, I took two bodies, an EM5 Mark II and my EP5, which I love that. The EP5 had its 20 millimeter Panasonic pancake lens on it. And the EM5 Mark II has the 14 to 42, I think it's 3.5 to 5.6 2R kit lens. See how compact this thing is inside. And also took the 40 to 150 zoom. So there's the EP5, nice and compact. And my EM5 Mark II with its kit lens. And the 40 to 150, this is the 40 to 150 f4 to f5.6R, the inexpensive zoom lens. I think you can buy them new about $100 or maybe a little bit more. All that fit in this little bag, and I was able to shoot a bunch of pictures and video, and I wanted, to cover most of my uses. So in 35 millimeter or full frame terms, this 14 to 42 is like a 28 to 84 millimeter lens, right? And then the 40 to 150 is like a 80 to 300 millimeter lens. And so I had coverage from 28 millimeter wide to 300 millimeter long, and two bodies, actually with three lenses, the pancake lens, all in this little bitty bag, right? I love this bag, by the way. It's no longer made by Tamrac. I think Tamrac makes really good bags. I got on eBay and was looking to see if I could find another one of these because I use this bag a lot, and eventually I know I'm going to wear it out. In fact, the buckles on the side broke, and I found a company that actually sells buckles. You can see the screw head on the end there where you can actually, cut off the old buckle, and this has a pin that goes through where the strapping is, and you can replace these buckles. I'll put a link in the description for some of these. If you've got a camera bag or something that uses these buckles and you've got some that are broken, you can buy replacements that not only have the kind that you can pull and adjust, but also kinds that are made to go through a loop and webbing. And if the webbing's sewn, the only way you can replace it is one that has that pin or that screw that goes through it. So anyway, I was looking for another one of these. Didn't find one of these exactly, but I found a couple others made by Tamrac that are kind of similar to this one, and I actually ordered a couple. They were really cheap on eBay. I think I paid like $10 plus shipping for one, and I think $12.99 plus shipping for the other. And so I'm looking for those to come in, but because I've got film cameras that I want to be able to use in one of these, and I hate having to empty a bag and put other stuff in. I like to have cameras in bags ready to go. So I'm going to try to find some more similar to this. But anyway, this really illustrated to me the value in the Micro Four Thirds systems. I saw guys out there with their great big DSLR and gigantic lenses and huge camera bags. And what was funny is this one guy, big camera bag, DSLR, obviously a something to 300 millimeter lens. You know, the lens is that big around and that long, and he's taking pictures with his cell phone. Got his cell phone up there taking pictures and didn't even touch the camera. I'm like, why are you carrying that around? Is that like a trophy, a badge? I don't know. So anyway, I thought it was really illustrative. I don't believe that you could take, I know they make full frame mirrorless cameras that are really not much bigger than these now. They really do. They've got them pretty compact. Still, I don't think that you could get 2 full frame bodies and 3 lenses in a bag this size. It's not going to do it. So the lenses is the problem. In order to use a full frame camera, instead of having 14 millimeter to 115 millimeter lenses, now you got to have 28 millimeter to 300 millimeter lenses, and they're bigger. The longer focal length dictates a bigger lens. So this is a little bit older technology. This is a Canon Rebel. I had in one of my junk drawers. It's got a 28 to 80 Canon zoom on it, you know, so you can see that's quite a bit bigger than the zoom on this. You know, if we put them side by side, they're, you know, roughly the equivalent of each other in terms of coverage. And then this is a Sigma 70 to 300 in the same Canon mount, compared to the Olympus. Now I know they maybe have compacted these somewhat, but when I look at them, the size is just remarkable. And not only that, the weight, these, you know, like this weighs twice what this does, at least. It's a lot heavier. So I think to me, it really illustrated the value of the Micro Four Thirds system and the weight of it and the size of it and how, I mean, it was almost 90 degrees that day we were doing this, and I've got this camera around my neck and this little bag on my shoulder, and the plane is not air conditioned. Fortunately, it had some little pop open vents that would blow air on you. And so once we got airborne or got moving, it wasn't too bad inside the plane. But the outside, while we were walking around taking pictures of the plane and stuff, it was hot. It was really hot. So this really just kind of illustrated to me the value of the Micro Four Thirds system in terms of size and weight and what that really means in a practical example. I've carried around film SLR cameras with the bigger lenses and a bigger camera bag and done events like this, and especially when it's hot out, it's miserable to carry all that weight. It's not fun. And to me, it really kind of just makes the whole thing a little less fun. I mean, I've done that and thought throughout, why did I bring all this camera gear? This thing's so heavy. I wish I could ditch this, and you know. And so in this case, I never really experienced that. I was able to take pictures. I actually never used the, I probably could have left this at home. I never used the EP5. I kind of brought it just as a backup. The EM5 Mark II worked great. And I used both lenses and was able to reach out when I needed to with the 40 to 150, and the 28 was wide enough to get the images that I needed wide. There was one instance inside the plane where I actually grabbed my cell phone. It's got one of the, it's an S24 Samsung. It's got that super wide camera that I think it's equivalent to like a 17 millimeter or something like that on 35 millimeters, pretty wide. And I took a couple pictures with it, but that was all I used my cell phone for. So anyway, I think it's just a great example of the value in the Micro Four Thirds system. And so, you know, to me, I have every bit the image quality I want. I have cameras that don't weigh as much and don't take up as much space. It's more enjoyable to take them out and use them. And especially when you're traveling or vacationing. I mean, if you're doing it for a living, if you're working for a living, maybe it's one thing. You need the bigger cameras, you need the bigger sensor, whatever. You're getting paid for that. But when you're out just enjoying time with family and friends and doing fun stuff, you don't want all that weight and junk hanging around. It's really nice to be able to put everything in a little bitty bag. Doesn't hardly weigh anything. Toss it over your shoulder. Have all the camera gear you need. Anyway, that was it. Just a kind of a quick thought on this little deal. I've dropped a couple of these pictures in there for you to see this plane. It was really cool. 60 years, almost to the month. April was the month I did the thing in 1964, and May was the month I did it in 2024, 60 years later. So it's 60 years in 1 month, I guess. But it was so cool. Just a side note, when I was 5 years old, I remember sitting and looking at the left side, what is that, port side, landing gear, and as we took off, there's like a big shock absorber, and the thing kept getting longer and longer and longer and longer, and I just, as a kid, as a 5-year-old, I'm like, it's going to come apart. Oh, we're going to be in trouble. It didn't, of course, and I was able to actually watch that as we took off in a, obviously a different plane, and it didn't look near as scary when I'm 64 as it did or 65 when it did when I was 5. So, anyway, it was just really great to relive that memory. I don't know, it's just one of those kind of once in a lifetime or maybe twice in a lifetime kind of things. But anyway, that's my kind of thing today. When people tell you that you need a full frame camera, and especially if you're doing this for fun or just a hobby, maybe not. I like the compact size and the lightweight. Anyway, if you have any thoughts or questions, please don't hesitate to leave me a comment. I always love hearing from you. And as always, thanks for watching.